and welcome to Meanwhile in the Falklands. It's the 100th episode. Woo! Woo-hoo! So, it's just me and Steve again. We're still in the Northern Hemisphere, but very special edition today because in a minute we're going to hand over to Hannah and Ollie, who are down in the south in the Falkland Islands, who will carry on and tell you what they've been up to this week. So, joint effort this week. Let's just have a look at what we've been doing over the past 100 episodes. If you've been joining us and have been listening to every single one since we very first started, well done. We ought to send them something, shouldn't we?
Yeah, maybe like something like a card, like the Queen does.
Yes, you could have a card. Or we might even be able to get you a mug, an FITV mug. We might be able to do that as well. So we could be doing that. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Don't
if you
contact and under-deliver, whatever you do.
Have that embroidered on a pillow. Listen, listener, if you're one of our solid listeners, email us, stationmanager@fitv.co.uk. Tell us why you think you're our top listener, and then we might send you something. Anyway, let's move on. We started this podcast, just over 100 episodes, because I think we've skipped a couple of days. But it was with Katie and Thomas and Hannah and myself. And when we started out, it was quite a serious podcast. We would discuss serious issues. And then it sort of developed, so we were more behind the scene kind of things.
One could say the last sort of 10 podcasts have not been that serious at all.
No, but I don't think you need a lot of serious, because if you want the serious stuff, you watch FITV and Falklands in Focus. But then in the podcast, we'll tell you some of the things that happen behind the scenes, like, I don't know what. But anyway, that's really what it came down to. We wanted to be as popular as there was one particular podcast that was very, very popular at the time. And the people who were doing it were like on tour and everything. So that's what we were aiming for. But we did... I know the first one you joined in was when we did something on careers.
Yeah, A for accountancy.
And you came in and told us all about being an accountant.
Rock and roll, baby. Rock and roll accountancy is.
And then I think we had a barrister for B, and we had somebody in catering for C, and then it sort of just fizzled out, really.
Yeah, we kind of went away. But no, it's... I have to say, we went to... 2 years ago to the Wild Screen Film Festival, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And there was I don't know what you call it, a presentation,
talk
lecture on podcasts, and it was the Natural History Museum, wasn't it? All part of it.
Yeah, something to do with BBC.
Yeah, and I have to say at the time I was thinking, well, this is all very interesting, but, blow our own trumpet here, we do a much better job.
Yeah. I think you get tied. You can get bogged down in wanting like the best microphones and the best. I mean, when we're in the Falklands, we record it on a Zoom, which is a legitimate audio taking thing. But here, I mean, I've just got my phone sitting on my knee, and we're just sitting here chatting, aren't we?
We are.
Yeah,
yes,
that's what we're doing.
Yeah, a cup of coffee.
Yeah. Some fudges. I'm so glad I bought that fudge.
Yes.
Anyway, astronomy section this week, listener. I've got just a big apology. It's just a big disappointment. It's a lovely piece, I think. Obviously, you can see that we're limited with the animation that we can do here. But the disappointment comes because there's 3 major things in the astronomy that's happening this month, right? There was supposed to be a comet that was going to be the second brightest thing in the sky, and you'd be able to see it with your naked eye.
Yeah, it decided not to turn up, didn't it?
Well, no, it started to fall apart, and now it's no longer there. So that's that.
Well, blame it on COVID-19.
Yeah.
Blame it on COVID-19.
But that's all COVID-19. There's a penumbral eclipse. That's when the moon goes into the Earth's partial shadow. But that's not visible in the Falklands. That's number 2. And number 3, because you've got a 3, is there's an annular eclipse. It's an annular solar eclipse. It means that the moon is too far away, so it's in apogee, so it's far away, so it doesn't quite cover the disk of the sun. So you've got like this ring of light around it, but it's not visible in the Falklands. No. So, I sort of like, I get the watcher sort of like, yeah, look at this, and then like, yeah, you can't see it in the Falklands.
But on the plus side, what you can see in the Falklands is the Milky Way.
Oh, yes.
Because we went out into a field near to where we are staying, which is in a very rural location and not much light pollution. And it was a really clear night. And do you think we could see the Milky Way? No.
Could we? No,
could we not?
So in the Falklands, listener, if you're planning to go down the Falklands or you're on your way down, be prepared, because there's more stars than you can shake a stick at. Seriously, I can't describe.
You won't be able to get a stick though, because there are no trees.
No, but there's just so many stars. Even in Stanley, where you've got a little bit of light pollution from the streetlights. I've stood in our back garden, and you can, on a clear night, the Milky Way is not just a few bits of light across, it's a silver ribbon across the sky. I'm using hand gestures, listener, across the sky, like it was made in Star Trek, one of them.
Go down to Surf Bay in the middle of the night with your cup of cocoa.
Which we've done.
And go and look at the sky. Fantastic.
Yes,
absolutely
it is.
Fantastic.
Honestly, wonderful. That's your phone. Shall I just pause this for a second? Oh, you've got a lovely little tinkly ringtone, haven't you?
Yes.
Like little fairies coming in.
Oh, yes. It's got to be loud, though. It's got to be on loud.
It's got to be on loud. So this week is actually 21st of May. There's two things going on the 21st of May. First is, there is no in particular order, but is St. Helena Day. There's a lot of St. Helenians in the Falkland Islands. The flag gets put up at Victory Green.
Yes, it does.
They usually have a reception at Government House.
But I don't think they'll be having one now, will they?
No, they won't. But it's also Landing Day. So this is when the task force in 1982 landed in St. Carlos, which is about... Well, we have to sort of allow about 3 hours to get there.
Yeah, well, this time of year, with the weather being so bad and the roads are generally not in great condition, it's best to give yourself a lot of time to get there. Plus the fact you want to get there early before all the military trucks get on the road, because they churn it all up and make it even worse. It's one of
the bigger memorials, so it's absolutely beautiful down there in San Carlos waters. It's overlooking. So the cemetery is there's a brick wall all the way around it. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful. It's one of the places you've got to go.
It is the perfect setting for a memorial, to be perfectly honest.
And it's overlooking San Carlos waters. Whatever ship is around, so it's been Clyde in previous years, but obviously it's HMS Forth this year. It will be in the waters down there. There's usually, I think there's a fly past. Is there a fly past there? Can't remember.
Not all the time. Sometimes there's either a helicopter or C-130 or something flying past. But
quite exposed out there, so it is. The weather is quite dreadful at times up there. I mean, we've been up there in the snow and stuff like that, and like I say, the road going to, if you've had rain a couple of days, it's going to be slippy and slidey all over the place. Over the years, because I've been at FITV now for nearly 10 years, and over the years I've had the privilege to speak to a lot of veterans, and the stories are just fantastic. I'm not going to say them now. A lot of them we filmed, and they should be on our YouTube channel. But I do remember one of the very first ones I did. It was these two guys, two para, and they gave this talk where they went right from when they first got on the ship in the UK, how they travelled down, what they did on the ship going down to the landing, the actual landing night, and then their yomp from there through to Goose Green and things like that. It was a brilliant talk. It's one of those talks where there's laughter, but then there's great sadness as well. It was just beautifully balanced. These two guys really bouncing off each other. That actually may be on our Facebook, YouTube channel as well. But have a look for it anyway. Have a look for the veteran ones that are over there. Anyway, we're now going to pass you over to Hannah.
No, we're not. You must talk about the most exciting thing that's happened this week. Well, other than me shaving my beard off, obviously.
Oh, I know. I don't know why you've done that.
Because it was getting... Basically, I was finding a third meal in it every other time. So I was just getting it got too bushy. But anyway, aside from the bid, the most exciting thing that has happened this week is that I discovered in Cheltenham an anonymous postbox.
Right, so we need to tell the listener what an anonymous post. If you were still awake last week when we were talking about postboxes, each postbox has got a royal cipher on the front of the postbox. It tells you what point in history it was made. So there are some Victoria postboxes around with the VR cipher on them, and in Cheltenham actually there's the hexagonal ones. As well, which are really, really early.
The Penfold ones.
Penfold ones, yeah.
Yes, there are two that I found.
We told them all this last week, so we don't.
I found discovered another one in Montpellier.
Oh, other okay.
Yeah, so.
But what we have discovered is there was a period, and it was in the Victorian times. I think it was 18. I want to say 1879, but that might be a bit too early.
Don't know, but yes.
For about 9 years, they forged these pillar boxes. Without a royal cipher on them.
They forgot.
So they're called anonymous pillar boxes. And we found one in Cheltenham.
Yes. Well, you
did. You did. You sent me the picture. Which,
yes. Yeah, so I rode by it and I had a look and I went, oh my goodness. I immediately called you with so much excitement. And then started taking photographs of it. And two people came to use it and post a letter, and they started to ask me, why I was taking a photograph of it. And I explained to them about why I did, and then started going on about telephone boxes. Not telephone.
And then
boxes.
Did they suddenly crown you nerd of nerds?
Yeah, well, they definitely went away with the opinion that I was very nerdy on post boxes, and that's my that's what's happened to me during this lockdown period.
Well, we need to get ourselves lots of things together, actually, because we need to prepare ourselves when we eventually get back to the Falklands. Listener, I don't think you'll hear from Steve and I until Steve and me till we get back into the Falklands, really, because we're gonna hand over to Hannah and Ollie, and they're gonna take over from now. So this is the last time you'll hear us on the podcast for a little while. But we need to get prepared because we're going to be in quarantine for 14 days. And we're not allowed to leave the house.
No.
So we need to find jigsaws. We need to find all the Airfix models you've got hidden around the house to do.
Well, I think we could compile a book on all the post boxes in the Cheltenham area. To be honest.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do loads. Yeah, it's going to be fun. Anyway, Hannah and Ollie should be there. Are you there, Hannah and Ollie? And we'll say goodbye from here.
Bye for now.
Bye for now. Over to Hannah and Ollie.
Hello, Paula and Steve. Yes, we are here. And I'm with...
Oliver.
And for the 100th podcast, it will be his first podcast.
Tom.
Hey! Tom the graphics man. And we're very excited to be podcasting because we haven't podcasted in a long, long time because we've all been very, very busy. We've been rushed off our feet, haven't we, really? Because we've been doing daily shows for the past couple of months, which has been a bit full on, to say the least.
Yeah, thrown in the deep end, but we've done all right, I think.
It's been a different way of life, and I think probably it's been a different way of life for a lot of people at the moment with everything that's going on with the coronavirus. So we've all kind of had to adapt, haven't we, a little bit, and we've adapted our working hours and our routine. Tom, you've been isolating at home, but you've been busy working, haven't you?
Yeah. You did a pretty nice Star Wars one, didn't you? That looked pretty cool. The Star Wars graphic. Can you tell us a bit about that? Where did that idea come from?
Well, it's basically from my isolation. I've been playing Star Wars on the PlayStation 4, and I based the scenery on one of the maps. I think it's Hoth. Like the main map was the big hangar.
That's the snowy one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that the one with the funny dog-like? Are they called AT-ATs? The mechanical dog things? Do I know that? Am I right? Am I getting a Star Wars thing right?
AT-ATs.
There we go. There we go. See?
So that's what you modelled the Star Wars graphic on, was it?
Yeah. Yes.
And we'll be putting this graphic over the top of this podcast so people can actually have a look and see what you've been busy doing. Because that was for Star Wars Day, wasn't it?
Yeah. May the 4th be with you. Yes. The good old meme and jokes.
God, May the 4th. That seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? A month's gone very quickly.
Yeah, no. The whole time it's flown by, actually. To be fair.
Well, yeah. Ollie, how have you felt? Because you've been obviously you started with us at the end of December, but you're our new man.
Still new.
And it was literally thrown in at the deep end. Go and do this, go and interview so-and-so, go and do that, and quick editing and stuff. How have you found it?
Oh no, I love it. It's been good. You know, I've talked to so many people during this time. Interviewed quite a lot of people. Everyone's really passionate about what they do. You know, from the governor at one point. We did the teddy bear. So people were putting teddy bears in the windows. That was really nice as well. And talked to Maggie Battersby as well, who was doing the community heroes. So there's been a very wide variety of people that I've managed to talk to during this time, and it's been really, really nice, and the response for the COVID-19 pandemic here.
This is the thing, I think, with the way things are at the moment in the current situation, it's almost like people who have got skills are really pushing their skills to the test, working like stink. That's my favourite saying. But even crafty people who are isolating, people are still working from home. People are doing their knitting, are doing baking, and the community here, I find, has really come together more so than where back at home in the UK. I'm not saying that the UK aren't coming together, because I know they're going out and doing their claps for the NHS and things, but here everyone's really got their creative talents going and thinking, right, how can we still do community events, but without actually seeing people face to face? And Ollie, you came up with a very good idea for one that we've been doing. It's your lovely. Look, he's giving me a look that he doesn't know. He doesn't know, but it's the Stanley Arms quiz.
Yes, the quiz night. I quite enjoyed that, to be fair, and we had we were both in an episode. We had music. So yourself did a music round. I did a geography and history round, and we had Vicky Collier as well, doing a few rounds. And then before that, we had Laura Ellen, and it did really, really well. And you could have won a Stanley Arms pizza, so that worked. It worked quite well. It was quite. It
was a good idea though, because if you can't go, and I think that's the one thing most people are struggling with is socialising, going to the pub, having a drink, seeing your friends, and you can't do that at the moment. And for a lot of people, it's they can't even leave their house. So for them, it was nice to have a quiz where you could tune in, listen to the answers, write them all, listen to your questions, write down all the answers, and then tot it all up at the end. And quite a few people enjoyed that and engaged with it, which was good.
Absolutely.
And you made a very good graphic, I was going to say.
That's what I was going to tie into, because them graphics, if you've seen them, they're on Facebook and on FITV as well. But there's a few Easter eggs in that graphic, isn't there, Tom, that you made? Can you tell us a bit about the shields?
Oh yes. So the shields are like, I'm not sure what they're called. I think they're family crests or something, for like the last names of everyone at FITV. It's like, so we've got the Mansell family crest, the Newton family crest, and Thompson family crest on the thing.
And I'm going to do a little bit of explaining here to the listener. What the graphic is the Stanley Arms pub. So it's a pub bar with some little FITV sheep sitting around a table looking like they're playing a game of cards or something. And on the bar, you've got the different crests of the families, which is quite nice. And then it says Tuesday's quiz, but we'll put it up on the YouTube video of this, so you can have a little look, see of what Tom's been busy making, which has been really good. And you've been doing a lot of graphics and learning a lot of new stuff as well. Your graphics have come on, I've noticed, since I've been working with you, and that's probably been over a year now. Well, 2018, wasn't it? 2 years. Can you remember when you started with us?
I think it was around September of 2018.
So we're going to have an anniversary and a celebration.
But an interesting thing is as well, though, because I wasn't here when the first podcast started, but you was here, wasn't you, when the first... So this is 100th
Can you believe it?
time.
The 100th time the listener has heard my lovely voice and probably gone, tune off.
No, but I mean, it must be
funny.
quite how did it start? Give us a bit of...
When we first started, I can't even remember how it started, to be honest, but I think we thought, you know what, it would be quite nice to do a little behind-the-scenes podcast of what we're like off camera, do you know, and talk to people about what our jobs are like, because with our jobs, we're out and about and interviewing people and doing all sorts of things and meeting loads of really interesting people. So we thought, we'll sit and do a comical, this is what it's really like. It's not all glam on front of the cat. It may look like it's all quite stilted and, you know, put together nicely, but actually behind the scenes, there are a lot of things that do go wrong. And as we all learned, we learned the other week, didn't we, with the memorial season, trying to find, memorial season's come to an open, and we were trying to find San Carlos Cemetery for, they've got their landing day service, really nice service they do every year. And this would have been my third time going to the service. So you'd think that I would know it like the back of my hand, where I'm going, this and that. Ollie and I got in the car and I thought, right, leave nice and early, left at 8 o'clock, got our coffees, had our biscuits, blah. And driving and thought, oh, actually, this doesn't look familiar, We ended up in Port San Carlos instead of San Carlos.
Easy mistake.
And we turned up, didn't we? We got down to the bottom of a little farm called Smiley's Farm, and I looked out the window and I thought, oh, this is a bit strange. There's a load of pigs in the front garden and there's no road going up to the cemetery like there normally is. Went and knocked on the window. Poor little old dear came out, didn't she, and said, oh, actually, you've got the wrong place. It's another 40 minutes back the other way. But luckily we did make it in the end. We made it. Yeah. The service had finished, but we still made it to get some nice shots of the wreaths and things like that. So
well, it was fortunate as well. The sun was shining, so we managed to get some really nice shots. And it's the first time I've ever been. So, but an interesting thing is now. So we've gone from daily shows pretty much from 5 shows a week, slowly down to 3. And then what we're doing next week?
Next week we're back to normality. Back to normality. So we'll be doing 1 show a week again until we can get it back into the swing of things and doing the weekly show. But hopefully we'll be able to bring you some more presenter-led things and some more feature-length things as well, which should be quite nice to do. It's been very, I don't know about you, but Ollie, but I've found it's been very information overload, and the government here have been very, very good at being transparent and sending out their messages to the people of the islands and the community. And people have been watching. I think people have been watching and listening on the radio because it's important. You want to know what's going on. Whereas now we're kind of slowly going back to normality, fingers crossed, or the new normal, shall we say. Yeah. But it's good for us because it means we can actually not be stuck in the office till 8 o'clock in the evening.
Well, that's what I mean.
Back to normal hours.
So in terms of, obviously, Tom, you've been doing a lot of animation and editing. I've been doing a lot of interviewing, but you've been hard at work as well behind the scenes.
It's the admin. Well, it's been the churning out the show to actually put together a half an hour show, even though it's all of us. Do you know, it's all of us have a little cog in the machine, and then bringing it all together. It's difficult trying to do it every day. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I am quite glad that we will be going back to normal. So it'd be nice to get a new routine. You must be glad you're back in work, Tom. You've been back with us now for a week and a half, 2 weeks. How are you finding being back?
Yeah, it's good. It's like I was getting kind of bored being at home all the time, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it's nice to actually have something to wake up for, do you know, instead of not having that routine or even having lines and things. It's nice to get up and go, right, back in work, back to normal.
Well, you were also doing some filming as well, weren't you? At the community library.
Yes, Tom's first piece was out this week.
How did that go? Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was good. I mean,
have you been? This is the first time you've been to that new community library, isn't it? As well.
It's not the first time I've been like in the library, but the first time I've been like filming and everything in there. But
so did you enjoy doing the filming aspect? Do you reckon was?
Yeah, I mean, I think it could have been a little bit better. But
he can't say no. This is the thing. He can't say no. We're putting him under pressure. He can't say no to it.
But as well, Hannah, you've been interviewing today as well this morning.
I went and interviewed a lovely man. A very lovely man. No, Mr. Sam Cockwell who's the Press and Public Affairs Officer. There we go. I've remembered that very well. For Government House. So what it is the let's see if I can get this right. It's not the Queen's certificate. It's the Queen's New Year's Honours List is coming out. And what happens is she gives special medals, OBEs, MBEs, BMEs, British Empire Medal.
Ah, there you go.
There we go.
Well done.
To people of meritorious conduct who have done something to help the community or have volunteered or have done something that you think, oh, wow, actually, they're really helping out other people. So the nominations are now open, so you can nominate people. So if anyone wants to nominate me for this, go for it now. No. But you can nominate people who you feel have done something extraordinary. A bit like Captain Tom Moore.
Yes, very good. From Keighley, isn't it?
Yes.
He's raised so much money for the NHS.
I'm sure many of our listeners probably will have seen in the newspapers and stuff. Now, I'm going to get the age wrong. I think he may be 100.
Yeah, he did get a letter
in his
from
90s.
the Queen, I believe.
Yeah, he's been walking around his garden to raise money for
the NHS charities. Yeah. And he's raised a significant amount of money to the NHS charities. So well done to him. Even to the point of the FIG, the government here, sent him a nice message.
Now, you've been very, very, very happy this week and chomping at the bit to do this. But do tell us, sports are now slowly reopening. What sport have you been doing, Ollie?
Yeah, no, it was music to my ears when I heard that sports are slowly starting to come back into the islands. So I've been playing a sport called short map bowls. Now, Hannah's laughing, you can't see her, but Hannah's laughing at the moment. But I don't know, I did a little piece on it. I remember one of my first ever pieces, short map bowls arrived in the islands. And I just gave it a go, and I loved it. I kept going every week in, week out, kept trying it. I've never done it before. I watched it with my granddad when I was 4 years old, and that was the highlight of my bowls career. And now I just love it. I keep on playing it, and what it is there's a mat on the floor, and you have to roll a ball to get it closer to the jack around like a wooden block. And I did represent Stanley in the NPC versus. I gotta get this in there. I did represent Stanley in the NPC versus Stanley. Check that out on YouTube. So yeah, that was there. And excitingly, in about 2 weeks' time, there is the national championship, the first ever national short mat bowls championships. So, unfortunately, Hannah, you might hear a lot of me mentioning it in the next 2 weeks about how excited I am to participate in it. But yeah, I'm quite excited.
I think you should get Tom involved with short mat bowls because you guys have a very nice long corridor in the FITV house that you could practice your bowls on.
Little do you know, I've been trying, but with little paper scrunched up balls. But it hasn't worked as much because they're a bit too light, but I've been giving it a go. And we have, like I say, your cat's in the FITV house, so she's been chasing them and picking them up. But yeah, no, like I say, we have been practicing a bit as well. So, but there is other sports as well that are open, like golf. Golf's back in. Football, they're not doing non-con, so as in they're getting to do runs and stuff. Exactly, yeah. There are other sports like archery and badminton's now back. But obviously social distance.
But it's funny you should say that because I tuned into rival channel ESPN and I saw that they were doing football in Germany but without anyone in the stadium. So you could actually hear the footballers kicking the football and talking to it. Do you know, and you don't normally hear that. And I thought this is very odd. But they were on the subs bench. They were social distancing and they all had their masks on. So they were all like meters and meters apart. Wow. But it was actually quite interesting. I thought, fair play to them opening it up again and trying to...
I think I'm living the dream here, talking about football on a podcast. But as well in that one, they had cutouts of fans. I don't know if you saw that as well, which is quite interesting because they're cut out of fans. So you could apparently pay some money and you could put a big cardboard cutout of your friend or yourself, to put up, which is quite funny. But yeah, I'm happy that the sports are now back because it gets people out a bit more and a bit more active. Mm-hmm. And I saw the running club; they were doing some runs, obviously distancing, but they were running up to Cape Pembroke and back. So it's going all right. It's good that the sports are back.
Yep. And on that note, happy 100th podcast.
Yeah, happy 100th podcast.
And we'll be bringing you another podcast next week where we'll actually have time to do one.
Yeah.
Instead of last week, the listener may have noticed there was no new podcast, but we thought we'd save it for this week because why not? And also because we've been very busy.
Brilliant. And that's left for us to say. See you later.
Yes, see you next week.